Welcome to the United States of Small Business, a podcast where the essence of American entrepreneurship is celebrated in every episode. With host John Quick at the helm, join us as we embark on a journey through the heart of the nation, uncovering the inspiring stories of small business owners from coast to coast. Experience the vibrant energy of bustling cities and the serene beauty of small towns, all while discovering how individuals are turning their entrepreneurial dreams into reality, even against the greatest odds. Each episode brings you face to face with the dreamers, creators, and doers who form the economic backbone of our country, all sharing their spirit of innovation and resilience. Whether you are in the early stages of sowing the seeds for your own business, scaling new heights in your current venture, or simply captivated by tales of grit and triumph, you are in the right place. Tune in on platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and beyond. For deeper insights and to connect with the heart and soul of America's main streets, visit UnitedStatesOfSmallBusiness.com. Subscribe to United States of Small Business with host John Quick now and be inspired by the powerful stories of entrepreneurship, community, and the unwavering pursuit of the American dream. Begin your journey of inspiration with us today.
Welcome to today's episode of the United States of Small Business podcast. I'm your host, John Quick, and today we're diving into the world where engineering precision meets entrepreneur spirit. We'll be talking to Greg Mohr, a former engineer turned franchise guru who has mastered the art of turning challenges into stepping stones of success. Greg's journey from managing circuits to guiding entrepreneurs through the franchise maze is nothing short of inspirational. Join us as we unpack the lessons, strategies, and mindsets that have propelled him from schematics of engineering to the blueprints of business ownership. Let's get started, and welcome to the United States of Small Business podcast, Greg Mohr.
John, it's an honor to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, this will be fun talking about franchises today, but before we go into all of that, tell me, where did you grow up, Greg, and what got you into this crazy thing called being an entrepreneur? What gave you the bug in the first place?
Great question, John. So a couple different things there that got me going on that. What got me into franchising in the first place was, I'm going to age myself here a little bit, but back in the 70s, when I was in the late 70s, when I was in high school, most of us got a job in the fast food industry. Mine just happened to be Taco Bell for whatever reason. They were hiring at the time. And then I moved up in the Taco Bell world, became a manager. And at the time I didn't know it, but I was actually working for a master franchisor for Taco Bell. And she owned about 50 Taco Bells. So that was my first foray into franchising. Whole lot of fun. Love that. Always thought about that. Went through, did the corporate thing for about 30 years, got a degree in electrical engineering and physics. Getting my master's degree, I read Robert Kiyosaki's books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I realized, hey, there actually is something better out there than just working 9 to 5, or in my case, 7 to 5, Monday through Friday, being stuck in the office. So I eventually, a friend of mine, another engineer and myself, we actually decided to get into private businesses. So we bought a dry cleaner business. We bought storage units and rental properties. And together we ran that while we were being engineers. And I was getting my master's degree in business at the time, which led me to read Robert Kiyosaki's books. So that really got me started on that path, and then left the corporate world. Both my engineer friend of mine, I got laid off. So I sold him my portion of that. And I blame that on Robert Kiyosaki, because he ruined my corporate career for me. I think my manager realized my heart just wasn't in it anymore. Yeah. And I knew my heart wasn't in it anymore. So I blame him for that, but a good blame, though, not a bad blame. So I sold my portion of the businesses over to my friend. And I thought I wanted to go into business for myself, but that private business was a bit challenging for me because I didn't know anything about dry cleaning. I didn't know anything about storage units. We had to teach ourselves. Storage wasn't too bad. Dry cleaning was bad. Challenging, not bad, challenging. And so I thought that franchising thing was really cool when I was back there in the high school days when I was doing that. I love that. So that's really got me what got me thinking about franchising. And then Robert Kiyosaki got me thinking about private, getting your own business. So between the two of those, bam, I hit up franchising. That was about 12 years ago, and haven't looked back since.
Nice. What were some of those first franchising, leaps of faith that you experienced that, because like you mentioned, you just, you kind of got sink or swim or learn by a fire hydrant in the business world. So what were some of those first steps you took in the franchise world?
Great question, John. So first thing I did was go out there onto the internet and started going click happy. That looks like a good franchise. That looks like a good franchise. I had like 20 different franchise people calling me up, franchise development people calling me up, telling me theirs was the greatest thing since sliced bread. I finally found a franchise consultant. I thought, who knew they existed? So what they did was they really said, take a step back and take a look at where have you been, where are you at now, where do you want to be in that. So they were the real help in getting me my franchise, my first franchise. So it is a challenge, but when you getting your own business and starting your own business, and it is scary, with a franchise, you've got that step-by-step process, that playbook to go through. You pay for it, but that's what you get to kind of help you overcome some of those fears. It was still really challenging, but the thing that I got a hold of was that guy named Dennis Schooley with Schooley Mitchell Telecommunications Consulting franchise. He was a real plus. He really got me thinking how good franchise systems were, because he had like 100 different ways to get clients. He had complete training on everything to do, what to say, how to approach people, where to get folks. So it eased that step, that fear into it. Now, after investing in that franchise, when I first got started, I did wake up screaming in the middle of the night one night, wondering, what am I getting myself into? But he really alleviated a lot of those fears doing that. The biggest challenge when you're going from like a corporate world and then you're going into your own business is really setting that schedule. Because, you go into the business every day, you go into the office and they've got everything lined out for you, what you got to do all the time. But when you're getting your own business, even though Dennis had everything laid out for me, it was still up to me to go out there and do it. So the big challenge was, since I was at this time then working from home in this particular type of service industry, that I had to not be distracted by things that were around the home. So you really had to set yourself in, make yourself a little office, set your schedule, make sure you stay to it.
So somewhere along the lines, you went from, having your own franchises to thinking, man, there was probably other people out there in my shoes that were wondering how to do this, best practices, all those things. And you probably started helping other folks. Talk to me about that transition from becoming somebody who just, had franchises to helping other people become franchise owners.
Yeah, great question, John. So back in my engineering day, I was always training other engineers and helping other engineers. So I always liked helping people. Back in my Taco Bell days, I was moving from restaurant to restaurant, helping build the businesses up. So I really like working with others and helping others. So after doing my telecommunications consulting franchise for a couple of years, I thought, I really like what that franchise consultant was doing, because they get to work with people all throughout the United States and really all over the world, helping them. And I realized how much more pleasant my life was not having to go into an office every day and knowing that there are options out there for franchising. Because John, when you and I, travel around, we see all those franchises out there, the McDonald's, the Taco Bells, Meineke, Mako. And we think of franchises as a brick and mortar, expensive, you have to do it full time, which is just not the case on that. There's many different others. I don't think people knew that, and I didn't know as much about franchising, that there were other things besides the brick and mortars, and that you could get in for, $150,000, still make some good money. So I wanted to let other people know that. Plus the fact that even though I had that Schooley Mitchell Telecommunications Consulting franchise, I had to drive out and see my clients all the time. Not a bad thing. I set my own schedule, but the franchise consultants got to work from home and just work on the phone all day. And I thought, that's pretty cool, because I kind of live out in the middle of nowhere land. So I wanted something that I could spend all my time throughout the day talking with people on the phone. And that's what got me into that. So a couple of years after doing the consulting business with telecommunications, I went back to the my franchise consultant. I said, teach me what you do. That sounds wonderful. I want to help other people. So that was 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago.
Nice. So what have been some of your success stories? I'm sure you have a whole list of them, but share with us some of your success stories from helping folks become franchise owners.
Oh yeah, that's great. So one of my first guys that I got into franchising, it's interesting because, with the franchise system, you sign a contract for 5 to 10 years, but you don't have to stay in there the whole time. So one of the people that I got into a franchise, he was leaving his job too, just like I did. He didn't get laid off though. Fortunately for him, he was a volunteer. But he didn't like the fact that he was working so many hours and traveling. So we got him into a kitchen remodeling franchise, and he just took off. He was like rookie of the year the first year, really
Nice.
successful. And a funny thing, he comes back to me after 3 years and says, Greg, and I said, okay, what are you calling me for? He goes, well, I built this place up enough. Let's sell it and let's find me something else to do because I'm ready for my next challenge. It's like, way cool. So after 3 years, he had built it up enough to make enough money where he could sell it and then move on and get into another franchise system, which is just simply amazing. I love that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had another gentleman who was a doctor, and he wanted to help out underprivileged people get the doctor services, medical services. Couldn't get it. And he needed a way to find a way to start bringing in money on the side, to whether he could use that money then to help those folks. And at the time, the Regis Corporation Supercuts was selling off their corporate hair salons to franchise to bring in new franchisees. And he bought 10 or 15 of them to begin with.
Nice.
He came back to me. He said, well, Greg, that's a good start, but I really need to get this up to 100. So, what? All right, that's a big challenge. So at last count, I think I had him up to 85 or something like that. He's an amazing individual, being a doctor on the side and then running all these. But he's got a great process. Is that every, I think, 5 or 10 stores that he gets or salons that he gets, he'll put in a general or a regional manager in place so that he actually deals with very few people overall and lets other people do all the work for him and still brings in enough money to help people that don't have the money to get medical needs.
So what are some of the myths or hurdles that you help people overcome when it comes to becoming a franchise owner?
Yeah, the first one definitely is the fact that it doesn't cost $1 million and you don't have to do it full time. So when you're looking at the brick and mortar franchises, that's generally speaking $300,000-$400,000 on up to get into one of those on that. If you're looking at the service industry, that's about $150,000, give or take. Some 100, some under $100,000. Once they start getting to 100 or under $100,000, you do like what I did, where you go out and visit your clients rather than them coming to see you. So you don't have an office, you don't have a lot of overhead. So 100, 150,000, still, a good chunk of money, but doable for most people on that. And you don't have to do it full time, whether it be the brick and mortar, whether it be the services industry franchises. There are semi-passive opportunities out there where people are keeping their day jobs, keeping their other businesses. You can run them semi-passive 10 to 15 hours a week, depending on your management skill and style. So not only brick and mortar, but service industry as well. Doesn't have to be full-time. You can do it semi-absentee, and funding franchises is very simple. Matter of fact, for the if you're getting into the service industry franchise, as long as you've got a great credit score and you've got the necessary net worth that the franchisor is looking for, you can get an SBA Express loan for about $150,000 to $200,000 and put down about $20,000 on it. So theoretically, $20,000 down with your good credit will get you into some really great franchise systems.
Nice. What's the process look like just in general for somebody that maybe take us through? Somebody's interested they got the keys and they're opening the door. What does that kind of process look like in general?
So in general, what you'll be looking at there is that once you've got the keys, you're ready to open up that doors, that franchise is going to be there for you no matter what it is. So if it's a brick and mortar franchise, generally speaking, you're going to have a grand opening. That franchisor is going to be there for that grand opening, going to help you prepare for that grand opening. If you have the brick and mortar and you've got a membership model, the franchisor has already been involved in helping you get your membership built up before you open those doors. Service industry, a little bit different, still going to be a nice grand opening. Franchisor is going to be there to help you with all of that. And ongoing, and this is what you pay for, ongoing, you're always going to have that training. Generally speaking, most of them are going to have a mentor for you. So the first days, weeks, months, whatever it takes, you can have they'll have certain key indices that they want you to build up to because they want you to be successful. They get a royalty payment from you, generally speaking, between 5 and 10% off the top every month or so. How they make money is off that royalty payment. So they want you to be successful as possible so they can be as successful as possible. So they've got that mentor there. They've got that training. I've got that ongoing support. And in addition to that, what you have to do and what franchises will expect you to do is before you sign anything is talk to other franchisees in that system. verify all that information that the franchisor told you. So not only do you have that now, not only do you have that franchisor helping you build that business up and make it successful, now you made friends. Those franchisees in general are not competing with each other at all. They have protected territories. So as you start talking with all these different franchisees, now you made a lot of friends in the industry. Everybody's helping to build that business up. So now you not only that franchisor is helping you from the day one when you got those keys, you're opening that up. All those friends you made along the way, they're going to help you as well.
That's pretty awesome. So what are some mistakes to avoid when selecting a franchise? Let's say somebody's like interested in opening a franchise. What are some of those common mistakes that you see all the time that can help somebody maybe avoid some of those?
Great question. Good question, John. I have 7 of them actually on my website there that you can take a look at on those, but I'll just go over a couple. One that we just talked about, always talk to existing franchisees, as many as it takes for you to get a good feel for the business. You want to keep doing that until you start hearing the same thing over and over again. Hopefully good. If it's bad, you probably want to move on. Take advantage of your local SCORE chapter in there, of other people, other professionals that can help you out. SCORE chapter, SCORE, is generally every area has those. Those are business professionals that have been in business in your area for a while. I use them when I started mine. Go talk to them about what types of different businesses you're going to get involved in. Don't let what's in fashion cloud your judgment. Just because it's good today and going strong today doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go strong tomorrow. If you're going to look at something like that, get to know that business model, get to know that industry, that one as well. Always check into funding. Not only, as I talked about, the SBA loans, but you can also use a 401k rollover from a previous employer or an IRA rollover. You don't have to use other people's money. You can use your own. I use that to start my business on that one. For that, and what else? That is, then don't think that you're going to be a millionaire in the first year or two. Okay, it will take a little bit of time. It will be worth the effort. It was for me, but we get a lot of those things out of the way on our first call on that. But these things do take time. It is a business, and you won't be a millionaire in about a year or so, probably. On that.
So let's say somebody calls you and they say, "Greg, I need help. Tell us, what you do with a client to help them find some, what works for them." Talk to me a little bit about the services that you provide.
Excellent, John. So the first thing you and I are going to do is you're going to schedule time with me. We sit down and talk. So the first thing that I want is for you to ask me anything you want about franchising or about myself. And I'm going to see from you is what you are expecting out of a franchise, making certain that your expectations are reasonable on that. We get through that phone call. You haven't hung up on me yet, swore never to talk to me again. We're good. We move on to the next one. I send you out a questionnaire, get some information about you. Second phone call, we're going to sit down and we're going to go over the questionnaire. I'm going to send you a matrix of business types, kind of get the creative juices flowing, different types of franchise businesses that you can get into. Our due diligence process, where you and I will go through to find franchises for you and then investigate them together as well. So at our next call, half an hour, whatever it takes, all about you, talking about you. Where have you been? What skill set do you bring to that table? Where are you at now? What are you comfortable investing, time-wise, money-wise, in a franchise? Where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? So that I can tailor franchises that are looking for people like you that want to go into your area and your demographic works and that fit your criteria for a great franchise system. I come back with 5 or 10 different opportunities. Next phone call, we go through those opportunities together, narrow them down to 2 or 3, and then we sit down together and I let the franchisers know you're interested. You get on phone calls with them. We meet once a week, talk about what you learned, making sure you're getting your questions answered to your satisfaction, and go through that entire process of learning everything we can about that franchise. I've got CPAs, I've got funding people, I have franchise attorneys, everything that you need to make an informed decision about whether or not franchising is right for you to begin with. And if it is, which franchise is right for you.
And my guess is you have great relationships with many companies that franchise their business that, the average person that calls you may not have.
That's correct. So there's many. So right now there's, I think, like 5,000 franchises in the United States. I don't work with all 5,000 of them. I work with about 500 of them. Definitely plenty enough to give you a good selection. But if you were to do like I did and try and go out there yourself and do it, it's really, you just don't know where to start or what to look for, because there's a net worth requirement, there's a time requirement, there's a cash requirement. Does it have territory in your area? Are they looking for people with your skill set? All those things. You can be a DIYer and do it yourself. It's just going to be a little bit more challenging than if you're with a consultant. And we don't charge, as consultants, we don't charge a service to you at all for that. No fee to you. The franchisors that we work with pay us a referral fee if you decide to invest in a franchise. So it's good to have advisors along the way.
Wow. So you actually work with somebody, and the fees passed on to you through the person that owns the franchise business itself, not the person looking to franchise.
Correct, John. You come to me, I don't charge you anything at all whatsoever. So if you don't get into a franchise, I don't get paid. So I've got to make certain that I come up with some really good ones for you. But still, you may decide franchising is not right for you. That's fine. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to guide you.
What do you see as some of the trends in franchising? Is it moving online? Is it, having quick and ready food? What are some of the things you're seeing in the franchise world that are kind of trending in the last couple of years?
So before COVID, building up to that, we had a huge trend for yogurt. Yogurt was just the biggest thing. So that was right before COVID. And a lot of yogurts, but a lot of yogurts failed. We had a lot of restaurants. Pizza was a big one that came in there a few times. Some of them made it, some of them did not. Same with the yogurt. After COVID, we're seeing people being a little bit more cautious. So I've seen a bigger trend. So there's still some great restaurants out there, still some great food stuff. Don't get me wrong on that. But I see a big trend towards more essential services that people are looking into. HVAC, plumbing, electrical, senior care, tutoring. Still have some fitness, still quite a few. Boutique fitness is what people enjoy more now than they did in the past, where the big box gyms were the big ones that took over. Now more boutique fitness. But I would say, John, the more essential type services that people are looking at, home services, that will always be in need. If it's broke, it's got to be fixed. It's got to be fixed now.
Nice. Well, where can folks find your information, website, social media? There's going to be people on here that are going to listen to this and think, oh my gosh, I need to call Greg because I've always wanted to own a franchise, and I need to talk to the guy that's the expert. How can they find you?
You can go to my website at franchisemaven.com. That's franchise, M-A-V as in Victor, E-N.com. Email me at greg@franchisemaven.com, or just pick up the phone and give me a call at 361-772-6401.
Awesome. Well, Greg, 20 minutes has gone by in a flash. Any last minute thoughts here before we head off?
Yes, I wrote a book, and it actually made it to the Wall Street Journal bestsellers list. That is for you DIYers out there. That's actually a step-by-step process of exactly what I'm going to take you through to look for a franchise. So it's you information on how to look for and what to look for in a franchise with real-world examples of people I have worked with. If you want a copy of that, go to that website. It's right there on the front page. You can get a PDF version of that. My 7 mistakes is on there as well. Get a PDF version of that. And if you don't want to do it yourself, there's a click on there to schedule an appointment with me, and we can talk through it. Again, franchising is not right for everybody, and I will not try and convince you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, since for some people it's not. I'm just here to provide you information and education.
Well, Greg, it's been a blast getting to know you, hearing your story, and the service you provide to folks. For folks listening in, if you just caught the tail end here, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the whole thing. Pretty fascinating stuff here. So many businesses are franchise. So many businesses are franchise that people may not even know they're franchise. And I think it's a great opportunity for folks just to dip their toes, even if they don't think that they necessarily want to become a franchise owner tomorrow. Go to Greg's website, check out his book, and give him a call if you're interested. I think it's a really cool opportunity. It's a place where you can be an entrepreneur and still have some guardrails. So, Greg, I really appreciate you joining us here on the United States of Small Business. I hope everybody has a phenomenal week this week. And until next time, I'm John Quick from the United States of Small Business Podcast. Thanks so much, Greg.
Thank you, John. I appreciate the opportunity.